podcast. Today I'm joined by Marcus, our esports analyst,
Hello.
Joe, our common neutral perspective person, me as your host, an F1 enthusiast, and Matthew Ashford, our special guest sports psychologist.
Hello.
Our subjects today are going to be about Formula One esports, the cheating scandal between Thomas Rohart and Jarno Opmeer. Billy Mitchell is proven to be a cheat with his 2007 and 2004 records on Donkey Kong, proven to have been faked and not on a traditional machine. But first, Joe's got a question.
So why would someone in an esports setting feel the need to cheat?
I think, well, first of all, is a desire to win. I think when you look at the research, that's pretty clear, is people who are more likely to cheat are more desperate to win. Perhaps there's a lot riding on the line for them in their career. If they haven't got a plan B or a plan C, and this is all they have, then that could put them in a very desperate situation. An example I could come up with are, let's say, the streamers who have managed to amass thousands of followers, and they were cheating to be able to play at such a high level, right? To get that many people in watching them, and if they were to lose that stream and they would lose that income, then what's the alternative, right? Maybe a job in a newsagent.
Do you think it might also come from like an insecurity, like that they need to cheat because they're not good enough?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if you look at some of the very best athletes, the ones that make it to the very top, they tend to got a deep-seated need of inferiority. Hence why they become very perfectionistic and push themselves so hard, because they often feel they're not good enough. It often also comes with a lot of mental health. So if we look at like the very best, they do tend to have like anxiety disorders and some mental illness. So absolutely, if you've got that constant thing in the back of your head which is saying I'm not good enough, you're very prone to probably trying to do something else that would boost your performance.
Actually, that leads me on to a really interesting article I was reading. There's a man called Billy Mitchell back in the 90s. He was actually one of the people called the first proper esports champion, because he set a couple of Donkey Kong records and a couple of Pac-Man records. But recent information has come to light.
Yeah, some recent information is basically he's been cheating. His 2007 record that he set at a Law Brokers conference has proven to have been cheating because he's not done it on a traditional Donkey Kong machine. As can be seen with the photos that have been released from the conference, the machine uses a red joystick, which is an 8-way joystick, which gives the player a massive advantage coming into playing the game, because they obviously can move more directions than they could with the original 4-stick machine for Donkey Kong.
There's another actual allegation as well brought up against Billy, because not only had he tried to change this and alter by writing different documents, he had before not only tried to sue people who called him out for cheating in the past. He has called out anyone who makes fun of his poster boy ideas, how he looks really nice with a mullet, and just all the weird things that he tries to portray himself as a big hype man, to try and hide the facade.
That was his thing. That was the thing Twin Galaxies were trying to do. They were trying to build him up as the main guy for the company. There was records before on Donkey Kong and Pac-Man. He wasn't the first person to get the perfect score, perfect game on Pac-Man. Twin Galaxies actually deleted the person who did it before him.
Who actually verifies these records then?
So Twin Galaxies were the ones who did it. It's been proven that Billy Mitchell's records, it's not a trustworthy database, because it's just to support Mitchell's image basically, as because he was a co-owner, and it helped to. They're suing him for fraud because it helped to boost the value of the brand. Right. Basically, him being the gamer of the century, which he really isn't. So basically, the trustworthy one that all the gamers use for Donkey Kong is the Donkey Kong forums. That's the trustworthy site, but Billy Mitchell is suing them, the owner of that, because he obviously is not top and he's got his record removed.
Yeah, well, I think the reason why the mentality behind why he might cheat, Billy, I guess it's the notoriety that you get out of that. There's like an alter ego, right? There's the real level of ability, and then there's your ego's level of ability, right? And I guess if you want to try and sit at the very top of a sport and you can't get there naturally, then if you're really driven to do it and you've got people around you who can protect you, you need people around you like-minded. And you know, if all people benefit from that around him, you know, whether it's money, income, records, people are gonna do everything they can to support.
Similar to that, someone who did do that with Billy Mitchell was the referee of the 2007 record, Todd Rogers, who used to be the dragster world record holder, which was an arcade machine. I think he set a time of 5.51 on the machine, and basically it's been proven that record was impossible. So to basically just keep his image good, he's been hanging around with Billy Mitchell. Also with that, because you've got, for the lawsuit, it makes it hard for Billy to back it up because he has no prominent witnesses, because you've got Todd Rogers, who's been proven to be a corrupted referee, and then recently at a recent expo he was trying to set the perfect score on Pac-Man, and he basically gets up, claims he's done it, but it was proven that he was 5,090 points off, proving he had died once during the game, so he hadn't got this perfect run, he was just faking it. So it shows basically when you take this to the lawsuit, he hasn't really got any witnesses because he's proven to be lying in front of the people who witness it.
You wonder how people can get away with cheating for so long, right? I think that's where the governing body or the people who look after the games are so important, because if they put in the right regulations, I think it's near impossible to cheat. But if you're allowed to get basically mates in who adjudicate your scoring and can fake it for you without that being audited by someone, then people are going to get away with it.
Yeah, that's been the issue with Formula 1 esports recently, because they're in the off season, so they've been running a PSGL tournament, which is basically the off season tournament for Formula 1 esports, and there's been all sorts of because it's not very much adjudicated compared to the big normal tournament, there's been loads of accusations thrown around that Thomas Rojas using a grip glitch in the game to gain an advantage out of the corner and down the straight, because he'll be able to get more grip out of the corner, therefore giving him a high top speed down the straight. So for esports to be a competitive gaming scenarios, you need to be in attendance at an event rather than gaming at home on your own setup.
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. A lot of them just want to see how far they can really push themselves, and they will take any little competitive edge they have. So I'd say it might be controversial. I don't think on the players to not try. I think on the game developers to put in the measures to prevent it and not let it happen and people get away with it.
And then do you think, as someone maybe who's not cheating in the esports scene, is it harder for them to maybe speak out against the cheaters? Like, I know Jarno Motmir, he spoke out, but then it turned out he was wrong.
Yeah, it does, especially if they're struggling to prove it, or if they feel that the people they're talking out about are getting protected. Because also it's in the spin there's a bit of power dynamics where if you're seen as a problem, you could be threatened and will get rid of your career. Do you know what I mean? Because they might know people in the scene. It can be very much like that. A lot of micropolitics. So it can feel very risky unless people think that there's genuine people who are going to take those seriously.
And then there's the issue of betting. So obviously this can also align to online abuse, because when you're doing sport, you just get the abuse hurled at you in person, and sometimes even objects, which isn't fun. But I can imagine if you're on an esports team and someone has a bet on you and then you lose, it's a lot of online abuse. So yeah,
with most esports players and teams, things like that are actually, it's a lot of mental damage, because they're always told you must be on your phone, you must always be replying, you must be always posting, or you will not be paid by your sponsors, you won't be paid by this person, you won't be paid by this person. So having that little bit more incentive to be like, hey, I can make some more money and actually take a little bit of time off, or have a little bit more money to save and buy a house or something like that. Because the average age of esports players goes from anywhere from the age of 18 to 28. That is the age range. And then you don't really see too many people go beyond that. Their jobs and corresponding careers after that are just, you've got a streamer, content creator, you've got video editing, people who stand behind esports players as coaches, analysts, or broadcasters. Those are your main roles. There's going to be other small ones such as sports psychology, but when it comes to anything else, you have to go to a lot of education, a lot of effort, a lot of other training before you can do it. You can't just be like, oh, I was a pro player, and now I'm a sports psychologist. No, you've got to go through lots of school and education. Psychology is a protected topic. It's a protected name, title, but when it comes to betting, all it takes is, hey, I put 50 down on this person. I want you to throw the match. I'll give you half of it.
Yeah.
There's a big thing in Call of Duty where their Las Vegas matches back in 2022, over half of them were actually like match fixed, where people were just putting down money, being like, okay, here's the money, and then it all got found out.
So that's it today in the Cheats of Gaming podcast. Thank you everyone here for joining me, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.